Welcome. It is, as always, great to be together. This week, as we have come to expect, was complex and contradictory. The world continues to confound and confuse us, uplift and sometimes even inspire us. And yet we seem to be moving into a kind of déjà vu all over again, which is leaving many of us feeling at odds, angry, defiant, lost, even aimless. We don't know quite what to count on, and we just don't want to go back to that place of quarantine, seclusion, fear, and isolation. Even while that specter looms, no one is suggesting resuming those kinds of draconian measures. But every day brings new statistics. Some of them are promising, and most of them consist of new data, new insights into the nature of the virus and its variants, new cautions, and new concerns. It is beginning to feel that we are again having to assess risk and our tolerance for it, which we have all found is not a comfortable place to be. I confess that at such times I find myself turning to Jewish tradition for wisdom, yes, but even more so for a break from the incessant barrage of information into a realm that transcends this world, even while it informs this world and the way we live our lives. I was struck by the very first word of this week's Torah portion, the name of which is Re'eh, which is also the first word. Re'eh means see, behold, look, perceive, as the portion begins with Moses' review of what God has instructed the Israelites. He says to them, see, or behold, I set before you blessing and curse. Blessing, if you obey the commandments of your God that I enjoin upon you this day, and curse, if you do not obey the commandments of your God, but turn away from the path that I enjoin upon you this day and follow other gods. The reason that the very first word struck me is that last week we talked about the Shema, the first word of which, namely Shema, means hear or listen. And both Re'eh and Shema are in the imperative form. That means they are commandments. Last week we were commanded to hear or to listen. This week we are commanded to look, to see, to behold. Further, in this portion are laws pertaining to sacrifices. Excuse me, just one second. The aromas of which were powerful and pungent, touching our sense of smell. And interestingly, this portion also contains dietary rules and restrictions, which involve the sense of taste. The fifth sense, that of touch, is implied in the vast majority of ritual laws and practices, all of which render Judaism a highly sensory faith and system of belief. We have only to think of how delighted our children are when they are introduced to the sights, sounds, tastes, and experiences of our holidays, from Shabbat to Sukkot, to Hanukkah, Purim, Pesach, even to B'Shvat, the holiday of the trees. So much of who we are and what we believe is embodied, is perceived and experienced physically. In this way, Judaism exists on many levels, and many levels simultaneously. I believe this is part of its beauty and its profound impact. If Judaism existed only in our thoughts and minds, it would not last. If it existed only as colorful rituals, foods, and practices without a depth of belief, meaning, and association, it would also disappear quickly. Part of the genius of our faith is that it engages us on every level. It asks us to connect with every part of our beings, our minds and bodies, our hearts and heads, our senses, souls, and spirits. So let us pause for a few moments with thoughts of our entire selves, integrated, engaged in breathing, focused on this moment. All of us, all of our individual us's. So in order to do this, let us take the positions we are most comfortable taking when we engage in a few moments of breathing, of reflection. Let us sit attentively, but with some ease. If we lay our hands in our laps, we might open them and let them face upwards. And as we unclench them, to simultaneously let go of so many held places in our bodies, our necks, our shoulders, our backs. Our backs are a place of great tension for many of us. Our tummies. I think sometimes we hold nerves there, anxieties. Certainly our legs and our feet that hold so much of us during the course of a day. Let's wiggle our toes and shake them out a bit, and yet make sure they are firmly planted on the ground. And let us close our eyes. Or look softly in the distance and take that breath. Oh my. Oh, and if a yawn happens, good for you. It means we're letting go. We are releasing some of the stress, some of the tension that holds us so firmly in its grip for most of our days. We breathe in, letting go of so much within so that the breath can come in and fill those spaces. If we let go of the tensions, we make room for the breath. Deeply, fully. Let us breathe in. And then let us breathe out again. And as we breathe in, we might create a mantra for ourselves. Something like, I am whole. Or I am a complete human being. Or just, I am complete. Taking in the breath is a physical act. Thinking about it is a mental act. Thinking about our integrated selves is mental. Even while we perceive that those integrated selves are all right here in this moment. We breathe in and we let go and breathe out. We breathe in and take an instant to enjoy it, to enjoy that physical dimension that we don't necessarily access in the course of a day, or maybe just at one part of the day if we do certain kinds of exercises. It feels good. It feels good to move from head to body, to remind ourselves of the completeness of our existence. All of me is here. All of me is engaged in this moment. The commandment to choose life will appear again before Moses' final oration to the people concludes, towards the end of the book of Deuteronomy. We're still more towards the beginning. What is interesting about this particular iteration is that the first word, that re'eh, we have been talking about, that behold, is in the singular, even though Moses is addressing the entire people. It is as if he, or God, is addressing every one of them and every one of us individually. See, look, perceive, yes, you, I mean you. What God is telling you, you specifically, me personally, we each need to hear this and internalize it. No one is left out. No one can hide. No one can be absent, because it is not inconsequential, this choice we need to make, nor is it a one-time, one and done exercise. Implicit in the command that God has put before each of us, blessing and curse, what is equivalent to life and death in our tradition, is the necessity to choose over and over the path of life. God has given us this choice. The blessing and the curse are laid out equally. The path of life or death is not always clear. One or the other can be misleading, uncertain, compromised by our desires and others' opinions and values. But the ultimate message is that we have the power and the responsibility to choose moment by moment how to live our lives, what kind of people we want to be, what impact we wish to have on the world. Nothing is preordained. Nothing is written in stone. Biology is not destiny, nor is ancestry, talent, native intelligence, or athletic prowess. None of these are destiny. We are taught that God renews the work of creation every day. Thus are we afforded the opportunity to renew our lives every day. It is an act of will. If the Exodus from Egypt taught us anything, it is that we are not enslaved by the past, by conceptions of what should be or must be. We are free. We are free human beings. That is what it means to be created in God's image. We are unconstrained, liberated, answerable to our own will, not another's. And this is really the purpose and reason for our practice of meditation. It teaches us to stay in the present moment, unencumbered by anything that has preceded or anything we might anticipate might follow. We exist only in this moment and can choose, therefore, how to live this moment. That's the practice. That's the ultimate goal, to live now and to choose now how to live in this and only this instant. I cannot think of a better definition of what it means to be a Jew than it is the Jew's mission in this world to choose life, moment by moment, circumstance by circumstance, situation by situation, in every deliberation and every decision, from the seemingly most insignificant to the most important. To be a Jew means to choose life. We will revisit this theme in the next few weeks as the High Holy Days approach. More than once, we will be reminded that we are commanded to choose life. All of the laws, all of the commandments of the Torah are geared to that purpose. So let us take a few more minutes to engage in the practice that will help us to do just that, to choose life. Let us sit in our meditative poses and let us breathe. We might breathe in the grandeur of being able to make that choice. And breathe out any anxiety or hesitancy about it. We might breathe in a sense of our own will, a sense of our own strength, a sense of our ability to discern moment by moment what the proper path might be. And we might breathe out. Whatever negative message is most familiar to you. It may start with, you can't, you wouldn't, you mustn't. Let us look at that and breathe it out if we are better off without it. Interesting that we should engage in a practice that allows us to look carefully at every moment. And yet we close our eyes as the first thing. That re'eh, that behold, that see, is as much an internal process as anything having to do with the outside. As our breath is welcomed within, so is our perception. Behold the full humanity of every single one of us. By way of conclusion and a kind of send off into the week, I would share these thoughts from a writer and poet by the name of Tanner Olson. It is entitled Behold, which is why it caught my eye. Behold, it's August. How? I'm not sure. This year has been anything but expected, and I hate that sentence, like that is beginning to lose its power and become quite common. Forgive me, let me start it once more. This year has been anything but expected, and I hate that a sentence like that is beginning to lose its power and become quite common. Unexpected cannot be underestimated, and all of this has left me feeling exhausted. You too. But what if we were to slow down, lean in and look around? What would we see? Who would we see? What would we find? How would we feel? In December, I wrote down one word for each month. The word I chose for the month of August is behold. And I think the word behold is quite fitting for this month, no matter how August found us. It's time to slow down. It's time to lean in. It's time to look around. Behold. When was the last time you used the word behold? Maybe that's why I enjoy this word. It's uncommon. It's rare. It's refreshing. Behold, to perceive through sight or apprehension, to gaze upon. It's hard to say the word behold and not pause after saying it. This word is an invitation to slow down, lean in, and look around. And that is what I need to do today and tomorrow and the next day. Behold is a reminder to drop my fear, pride, and excuses. Behold is a reminder that something more is happening. Behold is a reminder that hope is near and we are far from done. Behold, slow down, lean in, look around. I think you'll be surprised with what you find. May you have a good week, one in which you behold a myriad of thoughts, experiences, opportunities, insights, whatever comes across your mind or your heart. God bless. See you next time.